Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What's up, family? Shabbat shalom. Oh, did it go live now? Here we go. Oh no, I got my own thing going on. There we go. Sorry about that, family. One more time. Peace, peace, peace. What it is, it's your brother Tavon Swain, aka the Orthodox Moor. And I'm trying to do a real quick build on the holy day for all my Israelites and Moors out there, for all my Muslim brothers and Jewish brethren out there. I am a Muslim of Jewish descent, North African Jewish descent. And one of the things I like to do is I like to bring the Jewish and Muslim tradition together and show people where they match up a lot and where they go hand in hand a lot. And this evening, one of the ways I'd like to do that is to show people, and I'll be doing this going forward, is to show people kind of how some of the Arabic and Hebrew words go together and how they're used in a similar fashion. Hey, what's up, School of Understanding? How you living, brother, man? Peace, family. How you? Hey, what's good, Lex? I see you out there. Oh, it's not water, no, brother, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna drop my build in a I'll leave and drop the link after a minute, man. But real quick, I also want to break down that I'm a Quranist in the sense of how I deal with my Islam, and I'm a Karaite Jew in the sense of how I deal with my Shalem or my Shalim, and that has to do with the fact that I don't take from like orated traditions and whatnot. I take from the scriptural tradition. So I take just from the Quran, or I take just from the Torah when I deal with these topics. I don't deal with the Talmud. I don't deal with the Hadith, etc. And that's actually kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing the show. Is to give people a breakdown of what the scrolls actually say about what Hadith means and how it's used. So the word for Hadith in Hebrew is used 17 times in the Torah, and in the Quran, the word for Hadith is used 26 times. So bear with me, family, as I'm going to go through a little bit of a ride and just reading what they say. You know what I'm saying? So I am going to go through all of them. So pardon me if this takes a minute. Hopefully I'll get through this in under an hour and change. And if I stutter, please excuse me. I do have slight speech impediment. I also am dyslexic. So in my reading, I might stutter just a slight bit. But without further ado, I'm going to get into this first in the Torah, and then I'm going to get into this in the Hebrew. And then I'm going to get into this. Well, I'm going to get into the Hebrew of the Torah first, and then I'm get into the Quran and the Arabic thereof. You know what? On second thought, let me walk this backwards, because most people know what Hadith is. And I'm just going to use that real quick. Hold on. Let me do it like this. Let me get my screen ready. Bow. Share. Bow. Present to everyone. Bow. All right. So you can see there it says that the possible meanings of the word hadith in the Arabic equals narrations, sayings, words, speech, opinions, statement, utterance, discourse, account, and tale. And in the Hebrew, there's this word Hedah, which has a very similar concept. In the Hebrew, it's Strong's 2420, and it means a puzzle, a trick, a conundrum, a sententious maxim, a dark saying, i.e. sentence, speech, a hard question, or a proverb or riddle. And this concept of a dark saying, it's not something ominous. It doesn't mean something evil. It's more of the concept of it doesn't have there's something hidden within it, i.e. there's something that needs to be illuminated within it. It's a foretelling. It's a warning of the sense like, okay, don't just take this on face value. There's something within there that you need to unlock. There's a moral to this story that you need to unlock. So pay attention to it. You got to turn the lights on. You have to illuminate this. So in that sense, I'm going to go break down real quick. I'm going to, again, read well, first and foremost, let me show where it also comes from. Again, this is Hedah. It comes from H2320. Hood. Which is properly to tie a knot, i.e. figuratively to propound a riddle, put forth, right? Like, again, it's a concept of there's a knot that kind of needs to get untied in a sense, you feel me? There's a little bit of work to do. Don't just take it for face value. It's letting you know that right off the top in the Hebrew context, right? So let me get into how it's actually used. First, I'm going to get into how it's used in the book of Numbers. Go check my verses real quick. Let me see where I'm going to read from. I want to read these in context. So I think I'm going to read from verses 4 through 8. But we see here that it says right here, with him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. Here it means khee-daw. Again, it's the concept of a riddle. So let me go to this real quick so we can read this in context. There you go. And the Lord spake suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, 3 prophets of Israel. And yes, Miriam is a prophetess. Come out, ye 3, into the tabernacle of the congregation. And they 3 came out. And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision. I will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches, and the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? So it's saying here that he's not going to speak to Moses in riddles. He's going to just speak to him like mouth to mouth, face to face, in a real simple, plain way. So that's one way it's being used. In Judges, it gets real interesting because it really focuses on the riddle aspect of things. So from Judges chapter 14 verses 12 through 19, I'm going to read those real quick. This is a real interesting story about Samson putting forth a riddle to people. I.e., this is the part where it gets into the whole knot tying aspect, where it needs to get untied. So again, hold on, let me just show you an example real quick. So I'm gonna have the Strongs off. Well, let me just do it like this. Let's do it like that so you can just see where the Strongs comes up. Because I should be able to read it straight through with no. Yeah, I can go all the way to 19. You can see just where it comes up. So here we go. And Samson said unto them, I will now put forth a riddle, i.e. khee-daw, unto you. If you can certainly declare it me within the 7 days of the feast and find it out, then I will give you 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. But if you cannot declare it me, then shall you give me 30 sheets and 30 change of garments. And they said unto him, put forth the khee-daw, put forth the riddle, that we may hear it. And he said unto them, out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. And they could not in 3 days expound the khee-daw. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, entice thy husband that he may declare unto us the khee-daw, i.e. the riddle. lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us to take that we have? Is it not so? And Samson's wife wept before him and said, Thou dost but hate me, and lovest me not, but thou hast put forth a Hedah, a riddle, unto the children of my people, and hast not told it me. And he said unto her, Behold, I have not told it my father nor my mother, and shall I tell thee? Shall I tell it to thee? And she wept before him the 7 days while their feast lasted. And it came to pass on the 7th day that he told her, because she lay sore upon him. And she told the khee-daw, the riddle, to the children of her people. And the men of the city said unto him on the 7th day before the sun went down, What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion? And he said unto them, If ye had not plowed with my heifer, ye had not found out my riddle, my khee-daw. And the spirit of the Lord came upon him, and he went down to Ashkelon and slew 30 men of them, and took their spoil, and gave change of garments unto him, or unto them which expounded the riddle, i.e. khee-daw. And his anger was kindled, and he wept unto his he wept up to his father's house. So here we clearly see the concept of it being a riddle, right? Like so again in Numbers we see where the Most High is saying he's not going to speak to Moses in a riddle. We clear, or in a khee-daw or dark speeches, we clearly see here where it really does mean the riddle aspect, where it's a knot that's tied up. So let me go down. Now this is a real interesting breakdown. Let me see where I want to go with this. So I'm going to go from 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 1 through 9. This is a real interesting breakdown because this has to do with the Queen of Sheba. Let me go through one real quick. And when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. She came to prove him with khee-daw. Or Hadith, if you will. I'm going to run through this real quick. And when the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, and very much gold and precious stones. And when she came to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king, which he told her not. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, It was a true report that I heard in my own land of the acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came in my eyes and seen it. And behold, the half was not told to me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceedeth the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men, happy are these thy servants which stand continually before thee, that hear thy wisdom. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighteth in thee, to set thee on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents. I'm going to read a little bit more. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices, very great store, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the Queen of Sheba gave the king of Solomon. Right. And that was because he was able to answer her hard questions. He was able to answer, he was able to untie the riddle of her hadith or Hedah. Right. Move it on. Again, the same story is told again. Let me see where I want to go with this. I'm going to go from 2 Chronicles chapter 9, verses 1 through 4. And when the Queen of Sheba heard the fame of Solomon, she came to prove Solomon with hard questions, again, khee-daw, at Jerusalem, with a very great company, and camels that bear spices, and gold in abundance, and precious stones. And when she came, and when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him all of that was in her heart. And Solomon told her all her questions, and there was nothing hid from Solomon which he told her not. And when the Queen of Sheba had seen the wisdom of Solomon, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sittings of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, his cupbearers also, and their apparel, and his ascent by which he went up to the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And you can see it's just getting to the same thing, so I don't got to go into more. But yeah, again, she came to prove him with hard questions, and he was able to answer her, told her all her answers. He was able to untie the knots of the khee-daw. Moving on. Now we're getting into some interesting stuff. And this part, real quick, is also going to be interesting for my Muslim brethren, as well as my Israelite and Jewish brethren, in the sense that, so in Numbers, you'll probably take this one here, in the sense that you'll probably consider that part of the Torah, right? Most of my Muslim brothers probably won't take Judges. They might find it interesting, but they probably won't take it. They probably won't take the kings in this. Although this is a story that is spoken of somewhat in different detail in the Quran. However, with the Psalms and the Proverbs that we have right here, this is definitely part of the Zabur, right? So this will be interesting for how you understand the concept of Hadith in the Quran. So let me see where I'm going to go with this. So it says here in verse 4 of chapter 49 of Psalms, I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my dark sayings upon the heart. I will open my khee-daw or Hadith upon the heart. I'm going to read this in context. And I'm going to go from 1 through 5. The chief musician, a psalm for the sons of Korah. Hear this, all ye people, give ear, all ye inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor together. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my heart to dark sayings. I will open my heart to khee-daw. I will open my heart to Hadith upon the heart. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heels shall compass me about? I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my khee-daw upon the heart. I will open my Hadith. Right. I was going to say in a very similar fashion again in Psalm 78, verse 2, and again in context, this is going to be, I think we'll read this 1 through 8. But again, hold on, we just saw it in verse 2, where I will utter dark sayings. I will utter khee-daw. Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. Just like it was saying, speaking mouth to mouth, right? Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. I will utter khee-daw of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, showing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he hath done. For he hath established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirits was not steadfast with God. All right. I love this. This is a breakdown of us being able to understand how to how Israel will be given, Israel and Judah will be given the ability to untie knot, or God will untie knots, etc. You know what I'm saying, for them that have been untied for them before, and the hidden things will be made known. And it's breaking down the fact that as nations they're basically broken. They're supposed to hand down this wisdom to their children. You know what I'm saying? And it's very similar to the concept of something that's said in the Quran about every nation getting a hadith, right? And I'll get into that in a second. Moving right along. Going into Proverbs, where it breaks down the fact the words of the wise and their hadith, or their khee-daw, their dark sayings. Again, I'm going to go from 1 through 9 real quick. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity. To give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and the man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsels. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings, their Hedah, their Hadith. Now that part right there should be real interesting for a Muslim, right? Because in the Quran it specifically talks about the interpretations of Hadith and how they're given to certain people, etc. So I'm going to break. This is going to align with Surah 12 here in a little bit. But again, I'll read it again. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings, i.e. their Hedah, i.e. their Hadith. To fear the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. I love that part. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. I'm gonna leave it right there. I like that. It gets deeper. I can read the whole thing if I wanted to, but yeah, yeah. I'm gonna leave it right there. I like that a lot. I like that one a lot. But again, you see the context. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their Hedah. A very similar concept to the Quran. Here's another one I'll get into, right? Again, this is asking the Son of Man to put forth a riddle, like Samson did, right? Son of Man put forth a Hedah, speak a parable unto the house of Israel, right? So let me get into this real quick. See how far I want to get into this. So this one I'm going to go from verse 1 to verse 10. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, put forth the riddle and speak a parable unto the house of Israel, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, a great eagle with great wings, long-winged, full of feathers, which had divers colors, came unto Lebanon, and took the highest branch of the cedar. He cropped off the top of his young twigs, and carried it into a land of traffic. He set it in a city of merchants. He took also of the seed of the land, and planted it in a fruitful field. He placed it by great waters, and set it as a willow tree. And it grew and became a spreading vine of low stature, whose branches turned toward him, and the roots thereof were under him. So it became a vine, and brought forth branches, and shot forth sprigs. There was also another great eagle with great wings and many feathers, and behold, this vine did bend her roots towards him, and shot forth her branches towards him, that he might water it by the furrows of her plantation. It was planted in a good soil by great waters, that it might bring forth branches, that it might bear fruit, that it might be a goodly, that it might be a goodly vine. Say thou, thus saith the Lord God, shall it prosper? Shall he not pull up the roots thereof, and cut off the fruit thereof, that it wither? It shall wither in all the leaves of her spring, even without great power or many people to pluck it up by the roots thereof. Yea, behold, being planted shall it prosper. Shall it not utterly wither when the east wind toucheth it? It shall wither in the furrows where it grew. Right. So right there, it's breaking down the knot, right? It's breaking down the riddle. And then it literally kind of answers itself, right? It asks the questions and it gives answers, right? Let's see. I got two more examples. Again, going into Daniel. And I believe my Shia brothers confirm Daniel's a prophet, and I believe my Sunni brothers have Hadith speaking of one day the grave of Daniel being found, and a book being found with it. So I would be curious to hear what my Muslim brothers have to say about this topic in this verse as well, because this would seem to be a foreshadowing of what people would call the Antichrist in Christianity, etc., or the Dajjal in Islam. And so I'm gonna read this and get into it a little bit as well. So if I was wrong about my earlier points about the Shia and Sunni, please correct me down below. And I would love to get into it with anybody who wants to expound on it. But I'm going to read real quick, and let's see where I want to go with it. I think I'm going to stop at 26. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall rise up, so shall stand up, and understanding Hedah, Hadith. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. So basically, it's talking about like how this kingly figure, this fiercely kingly figure, will have the ability to break down deep teachings and to untie knots and kind of bewilder people with that ability. And shall destroy the mighty and the holy people in doing so. That's a very interesting foreshadowing in the use of the concept of khee-daw or Hadith. And for the last one in the Torah, getting into Habakkuk 2, talking about shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb, taunting hadith against him. Again, when you understand the one we just read here about the foreshadowing, this will kind of make sense too. So let me see where I want to go with this. I want to go with 1 verse 1 and go through 7. Habakkuk 2 verse 1 through 7. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Now the keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb, a taunting Hedah, a taunting Hadith against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? So that's a cold piece right there. Like again, like that's a real cold piece right there. Like I said, when you understand the part about Daniel, that part really makes sense to you. But that's talking about when my dude rises up, that there's going to be a people that condemn him with the ability to actually understand the knots. Maybe knots that he can't untie. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they were so bewildered by the previous knots that they didn't catch that there was a couple knots he might not be able to untie. And at one point they might be able to figure out and prove him by the fact that, you know what, I got this knot right here you can't deal with. But by then it's most likely going to be too late. Real quick, I want to see what's going on in the chat, see what the chat's saying. Any questions? Hey, what's up, brother? What's up, brother Yakima Bay? Brother Sheikh Yakima Bay, happy holiday, brother Islam. No questions in the chat. That's what's up. Let me go back to it then. Now I'm going to get into it in Arabic. And you'll be able to see where a lot of these, now that you have like a precursor, a prerequisite concept with the Torah, you'll be able to see how these overlaps a little bit here and there in the in the Quran. So again, this is a list of the 26 times that the Hadith is used in the Quran. So just like I read the 17 times that it was used in the Torah, right? And again, the possible meanings of this word are narrations, sayings, words, speech, opinions, statement, utterance, discourse, account, and tale. Again, there are 26 occurrences of the word hadith in the Quran. It says it'll be shown below. And so here we go in Surah 4, Ayat 42. Now, these words might show up different in the English translations of the Quran. Here, they're going to just break down the fact that it says hadith or hadithi, etc. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to just say plainly, just say hadith for you, right? And it might illuminate a few verses for you because you might not know that it actually means hadith there. So you might find this a little bit interesting. So on that day, those who rejected and disobeyed the messenger will desire that the earth will swallow them, but they cannot hide any hadith from Allah. They cannot hide any hadith from God. Again, 478. Wherever you may be, death will find you, even if you are in fortified towers. If any good befalls them, they say, this is from God. And if any bad befalls them, they say, this is from you. It's like all is from God. What is wrong with these people? They barely understand a hadith. 478. And like in the Hebrew context, like they barely understand how to untie the knot. They don't understand the illuminated aspect of the untied knot. 47. God, there is no God but He. He will gather you for the day of resurrection in which there is no doubt. Who is more truthful in hadith than God? Who is more truthful in untying knots, for instance, than God? Who is more truthful in speech and in sayings than God? Who is more truthful in riddles and answering than God? 4140. And it has been sent down to you in the book that if you hear God's verses being rejected and ridiculed in, then do not sit with them until they move on to a different hadith. If not, then you are like them. God will gather the hypocrites and the disbelievers in hell altogether. I like that one. That's one of my favorite verses in the sense to where like it's an etiquette verse to where it breaks down like, you know what, if you're talking to people and you're hearing people kind of like reject the verse or they're ridiculing the verse, etc. You know what? Hey, move on. Don't dispute with them. Let it go until do not sit with them, right? Don't chill with them. Don't be in a bad situation. Don't put yourself in a crazy situation to where you're gonna get your blood boiling. Right? Don't sit with them until they move on to a different hadith. Let them change the concept that they're talking about. Let them, like when they start talking about a different knot that they're in time, then you can go talk to them, right? I like this one because this is a real good etiquette. It keeps the peace very well. Moving on. In Surah 6, Ayat 68, it reads, and if you see those who meddle in our verses, then turn away from them until they meddle in a different hadith. And if the devil lets you forget, then do not sit after remembering with the wicked people. So again, I like this one because it kind of fits the previous one, right? Like, so if you didn't walk away, right, and you still kind of, you know what I'm saying, you still kind of stuck around, you know what I'm saying? Like once you remember, oh, I should get up and leave again. Like I like that one. But anyway, here's a serious one. This is a real interesting one, talking about the supremacy of God in a sense, and it's the supremacy of God's knots the knots that He designs to be untied, and the fact that only He can properly untie them in a sense, right? Surah 7, Ayat 185. Did they not look at the dominion of the heavens and earth, and all that God has created? Perhaps their time is coming near. So in which hadith after this will they have faith? Serious. Now we're getting to Surah 12. I like this. You'll be able to hear a lot of interesting things overlap here. Surah 12, Ayat 6. And it is such that your Lord has chosen you, and He teaches you the interpretation of hadith. Much like how it says in Proverbs 1:6, where you have the interpretation and the words of the wise and their Hedah. Much like that. Again. And it's such that your Lord has chosen you, and he teaches you the interpretation of Hadith, and he completes his blessings upon you and upon the family of Jacob, as he completed it for your fathers before, that Abram and Isaac, your Lord is knowing wise. And we're going to drop down to the same concept again in Surah 12, ayah 21. And the one from Egypt who bought him said to his wife, "Make his stay generous. Perhaps he will benefit us, or we may take him as a son." And it was thus that we established Joseph in the land, and to teach him the interpretation of Hadith. And God has full power over his affairs, but most of mankind do not know. So this is I love this verse. This is one of my favorite verses, because this one breaks down the fact that like again, God is the one that breaks down the way that his knots are untied and how they're tied. We're moving on. Surah 12, ayat 101. My Lord, you have given me sovereignty and taught me the interpretations of Hadith, initiator of the heavens and earth. You are my protector in this world and the hereafter. Make me die a submitter and join me with the good doers. Again, same concept of the interpretations of Hadith like you see in Proverbs. But it's the concept that God is the one who gives not just sovereignty, but teaches you the real way of untying the knots and how they're tied. And moving on, Surah 12, ayah 111. In their stories is a lesson for the people of intelligence. It was not a hadith that was invented, but an authentication of what is already present and detailing of all things, and a guidance and mercy to a people who have faith. I like this, because this is a concept of, this is not something that wasn't made by God. This was not an invented not by somebody else, but an authentication of what is already presented. Right? This is the same knot. This is the same understanding. This is the same wisdom. This is the same nugget of truth. This is the same illumination from the dark saying. Moving on, Surah 18, ayat 6. Perhaps you will torment yourself in grief over them, because they will not believe in this hadith at all. I.e. this scripture that it's talking about, right? Like, there's going to be people that you beat your head against the wall for, because they just don't believe that the scripture you're dealing with is the scripture. They're like, I don't even believe that that's a legitimate knot that needs to be untied, man. And I like that one too, because sometimes for people who don't want to accept the fact that sometimes a scroll of God is a scroll of God, you gotta let it go sometimes. And this is an interesting one too. Surah 20, ayat 9. And did the hadith of Moses come to you? Which is mad interesting when you reflect upon how it says it here, because it's a defying question, right? Because it literally says, with him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in Hedah, not in hadith. So when you understand that one in context, that was a real interesting one, particularly for people of the previous scripture. But yeah, I love how the Quran asks real defiant questions. Sometimes real defiant questions. Moving on, Surah 23, ayat 44. Then we sent our messengers in succession. Every time there came to a nation their messenger, they denied him. So we made them follow one another, and we made them a hadith. So away with the people who do not believe. I like that, man. I love that. So there's another verse that breaks down the fact that every nation is sent a messenger. But I also love the fact that it also stipulates here that not only were they just sent a messenger, they were sent every nation was sent a knot to untie. They were sent a hadith. They were sent a saying, a speech, a nugget of truth, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? I love that it says that, because in the concept of where it says in the Quran, "O mankind, you were made out of a single pair of male and female into many nations and tribes that you may know each other." it really, and it's in I like the Yusuf Ali translation where it says you may know each other and not despise the other. This one really illuminates the fact that there's a nugget of truth that every nation has that we should respect and hold honor with. You know what I'm saying? And we shouldn't look down on any nation because every nation has a nugget of truth that we don't have. We don't have. Anyway, moving on. Surah 31, ayat 6. And from the people there are those who accept baseless hadith to mislead from the path of God without knowledge and take it as entertainment. Those will have a humiliating retribution. This right here is the main reason why I am a Quranist and why I am a Karaite. In the sense that I feel safest when just dealing with the scrolls that came down from the Most High to his prophets. And so I feel like I have less of a chance of making a mistake as long as I just stick with those scrolls. Not that I 100% discount the traditions of the Talmud or the Hadith, etc. They're not my particular traditions. I don't reject them for other people who do accept them. However, for me, I just can't accept them in terms of jurisprudence and whatnot. And one of the reasons is because it says that at one point in time that there will be those who accept base hadith to mislead from the path of God without knowledge and takes it as entertainment to do so, basically. So I play the safe bet and just try to stick with the scriptures of God, you know what I'm saying, given to his prophets and whatnot. So I'm not disrespecting anybody who rocks with the Talmud or rocks with the Hadith, etc., or the Hadith. However, I'm just saying I take the safe route. So at the very least, please, humbly I'm asking, please forgive me for taking the safe route. Okay, moving on. Surah 33, ayah 53. O you who believe, do not enter the prophet's home except if you are invited to a meal, without you forcing such an invitation. But if you are invited, you may enter, and when you finish eating, you shall leave without staying to wait for hadith. This used to bother the prophet, and he was shy to tell you, but God does not shy away from the truth. And if you ask his wives for something, ask them from behind a barrier. This is pure for your hearts and their hearts, and it is not for you to harm God's messenger, nor that you should marry his wives after him. This is indeed a gross offense with God. Bottom line, I kind of like this one too. Like, hey man, let the prophet be a man for a second. Let him eat and chill with his peoples for it. Like, he's had a full day, son. You know what I'm saying? When you had a full day, sometimes you like to kick off the boots, you know what I'm saying? Kick it with your family. He's saying, do what you do. Don't hound the man for hadith all the time. You just got done. You just got done hurting being a prophet all day long. Let him be a man right now. I like that one a lot. That's just me. Going on to Surah 34, ayah 19. But they said, our Lord, make the measure between our journeys longer. And they wronged themselves. So we made them hadith and we scattered them into small groups. In this are signs for every person who is patient and thankful. And so again, this goes into the whole concept I was saying earlier about the many nations and tribes and every nation getting a hadith. Like, again, this is why we should really just chill out for a second and not look down on anybody. I'm like, you know what? What is your nugget of truth? You know what I'm saying? Because whatever truth you got, I'm going to feel some kind of resonance with it. I won't feel everything you're saying, but I'm going to feel the truth in what you got to say. So we should, like, I love this concept because we should really listen to people more. Moving on. Surah 39, ayah 23. God has sent down the best hadith, a book that is similar in two ways. The skins of those who reverence their Lord shiver from it. Then their skins and their hearts soften up to the remembrance of God. Such is God's guidance. He guides with it whoever he wills, and for whomever God misguides, then none can guide him. I like that, man. God has sent down the best hadith, a book that is similar in two ways. So bottom line, the books of God are the best hadith. They're the best knots to be untied and to be tied and to be understood by doing both. I love that concept. Surah 45, ayat 6. These are God's revelations that we recite to you with truth. So in which hadith after God and his revelations do they believe? I love this one too. Again, You got a better riddle than what God can spit. Let me hear it. You got better bars than God. Let me hear it. You feel me? I like that one a lot. Surah 51, ayah 24. Has the hadith of Abraham's noblest guest come to you? Okay, so explanatory 52:34. Let them produce a hadith like this if they are truthful. Again, you got better bars, spit them. I love that one. You got better bars, spit them. You got better bars than God, drop them. Let me hear what you got. Like he says, I do again. 53:59. Are you questioning this hadith? 56:81. Are you disregarding this hadith? Are you threatening me? You know what I'm saying? I had to throw that one out there, old school, for some people who know what that is. Anyway, I love that one. Are you questioning this? You disregarding this? You saying you got better bars, son? Okay, drop them. Moving on. Surah 66, ayah 3. The prophet had trusted some of his wives with a certain hadith. Then one of them spread it, and God let him know about it. He then informed his wife of a part of the issue and disregarded part. She said, "Who informed you of this?" He said, "I was informed by the knowledgeable, the expert." I like that. I was like, "Man, I gave you part of the knot, man." She was like, "How you know that I was giving out part of the knot?" He was like, "Man, who you think gave me the knot? I know by the way I got the knot. You feel me? I know by the way I got the knot. You feel? I love that one." He's a copyright infringement. You know what I'm saying? The game is to be sold and not to be told. You feel me? I like that one. I like that verse right there. Again, moving on. 68:44. Almost done, family. Almost done. Therefore, let me deal with those who reject this hadith. We will lead them on whence they never proceed. Again, you want to reject the bars of the Most High. That's what you say. You got better bars? Okay. Beware what you wish for. Moving on. 77:50. So in what hadith after this will they believe? Again, it's just sick with it. Man, you trying to say you got better bars? Let me hear what you got. Then again, I like this one. 79:15. Did the hadith of Moses come to you again? Because that one's a straight. That's a nudging again. Like I said, family, back to Numbers, in the sense where God said that he wasn't going to speak in a hadith to Moses, and the fact that he was going to speak in a mouth-to-mouth way. However, in the Quranic way, I will be clear. The Torah of Moses could also be seen as the hadith of Moses. So when you look at that, I'm just saying there's a double pun there for me when I look at it in the Hebrew and the Arabic, right? I'm just putting that one out there. So in context, it can mean both. It can literally mean the actual Torah in a sense, because we were talking about like the hadith of God are the best books, right? But in a sense, it could also mean the fact that, like, hey, dude, it can be a defiant question depending on how you read it. So I'll let you read it in context and then let you see what you got to say on that, right? As a matter of fact, let me know down below what you think. So again, that's Surah 79, ayah 15, and I believe we have in Surah 20, ayah 9. Yep, there we go. And did the hadith of Moses come to you? Did the hadith of Moses come to you? Moving on to 85:17. Has the hadith come to you of the soldiers? Read that one in context and let me know what you think on that one. I like, yeah. Again, I know the teaching doesn't come by soldiers. I know the knowledge doesn't come by them. I know it's given by God. I know it's taught by God. Last but not least, 81:1, Surah 81:1. Has the hadith come to you of that which will overwhelm? I can tell you this. When I pick up the Torah and I pick up the Quran, they drive me to both of my knees. They drive me to both of my knees. They give me a whole new reverence and respect for this thing. Whole new reverence and respect. But real quick, family, I just wanted to give a quick breakdown on how these words are used and how they appear in the Torah in the Quran. So with that, I'm going to see if anybody wants to, I'm going to drop the Hangout link on real quick. And if anybody's still on watching, you want to jump on, let's jump on and build, fam. Let me know what you think. Only thing I ask is, it is the holy day, so please no cussing, no none of that. Try to keep it peaceful and respectful if possible if you jump on. But I'm inviting anybody who wants to jump on, and we can build. Let me see if I can share this in my Hangouts. Anybody trying to come on? Let's see here. There we go. That's what's up. It finally shared. Let me let my Hangouts family know that I'm live and they can come through. Oh, hopefully Bernard comes through. My Moorish brother Bernard Bay. He just saw that I'm live real quick, so hopefully he's gonna jump on. Let's see. I really hope my brother Bernard jumps on, because he likes to do Arabic, and now he's just getting into Hebrew word studies, and he likes to get into root word studies and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, boy, Islam, brother, man. I was just talking about you. I was hoping he was gonna come on.
Yeah, Islam, brother, man.
So I just did a presentation about the Hebrew equivalent to the word Hadith being Hedah, and I broke down the 17 times that it was used in the Torah. Then I just read the concepts for the word Hadith in Arabic, and I just read off the 26 times it was used in the Quran.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so real quick, just so I can catch you up to speed, so we can build on this, because we didn't get a chance to talk about this earlier. Let me just share my screen real quick so I can just catch you up real quick. But yeah, I had the nudge to do a little word study on it a couple of days ago, and it just dropped my jaw. I was like, well, I had never even thought about, you know what I'm saying, looking up the word hadith or the equivalent in Hebrew. I was like, oh, this is kind of dope.
Yeah, that's an interesting find there. You went into a direction I know you would have. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I got these headphones in. Okay.
Yeah, you're just fine with the headphones, man. Okay, can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me go to it real quick. Well, hold on. First, let me go to the actual Hebrew word so you can see that. So the word is khee-daw, and it means a puzzle, a trick, a conundrum, a sententious maxim / a dark saying, i.e. sentence speech, or a hard question, proverb, or riddle. And again, I was trying to break down to the people, when it says dark speech or dark saying, it doesn't mean like it's an ominous, evil thing. It means like there's something unilluminated in there that you got to you got to illuminate yourself. Like it's a warning that there's a moral to the story that you can't just take on face value. You kind of got to like turn the lights on. You have to illuminate the thing yourself, right? Yeah, fam. And so in the Torah, it's used to break down the fact, like it literally says that. Like here it's talking about God speaking to Moses, and it says that with him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in Hedah, not in riddles. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses, etc. The bottom line, it says here that the Most High was promising to speak to. He said that I'll read it in context for you real quick. It's basically said like with everyone else that he was going to read, or he was going to contact them in dreams and whatnot, right? He said, and he said, hear my words now. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in a vision, and will speak unto him in a dream. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. With him I will speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in the khee-daw, not in riddle, or not in hadith, not in dark speeches, not in riddles, not in you'll get this. Let me go to the root for you real quick. You'll dig this, because it emphasizes the riddle concept, right? Because it says it's a puzzle, right? It breaks down. It comes from the Hebrew word chud, and it literally means to tie a knot, i.e., figuratively to propound a riddle, to put forth. So it's a knot there to be untied. You feel me? And that's what I was saying about the concept of it being a dark saying, is that there's something within there that you got to do. You can't just take it for face value. You have to untie the knot. That makes sense so far?
Yeah, beautiful. Smooth sailing.
That's what's up. Oh, there we go. And so, like in Judges, it breaks down a story where Samson gives a riddle to the people or whatnot. That's a long breakdown. And then I thought you might dig this one, and the queen might dig this one. Rachel might like this. And it breaks down. So everyone knows about the Queen of Sheba, right? And the story thereof. It literally says, and when the Queen of Sheba heard the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with questions. She came to prove him with khee-daw. She came to prove him with hadith. So she gave him knots to untie, and he was able to untie them. You know what I'm saying? But she knew how to untie them herself. You know what I'm saying? I love that.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And again, in 2 Chronicles 9, it says the same thing. And when the Queen of Sheba heard the fame of Solomon, she came to prove Solomon with hard questions, with hadith. She came to prove him with hadith. I love that.
Yeah,
then
nice.
there's breakdowns of, I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my hadith or khee-daw upon the harp. There is, I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter hadith of old. I will utter khee-daw of old. I love this one. To understand a proverb, and this is where it breaks down. Like this is how it's used almost directly in the equivalence of the Quran in Surah 12. And I'll jump from this one to Surah 12 for you. It says, to understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise, and their khee-daw, their hadith. And just like it says in Surah 12.
Did that verse just tell you that Proverbs means hadith?
Hey, whenever you want, hey, brother, whenever you want to just go off, go ahead and go off. Because I was telling the people, I was really intrigued to hear what you got to say about this, because you get into the whole root word aspect of the Arabic and the Hebrew, and the whole point of this is to show how both work together. You know what I'm saying?
Islam. So far, we're just walking together, man. So you're kind of already, like, in a sense, doing it.
Right.
So,
right.
You just smooth sailing. That's all I can say.
Right. This is again. So let me show the family real quick. So in Surah 12, like I showed you earlier, all throughout Surah 12, it talks about the fact that my Lord, you have given me sovereignty and taught me the interpretations of hadith. That hadith are something to be interpreted, right? And it says that God is the one who teaches you how to untie the knots, basically. And I also broke down the fact that on this one here, you might dig this one, brother, on Surah 39:23, that basically, peep it this way, that God has sent down the best hadith, a book that is similar in two ways. God has set down the best knot to be untied and to be tied. No one can make a better knot than God. No one can make a better riddle than God. No one can have a better story with a moral wrapped inside of it than God. A book that is similar in two ways. The skins of those who reverence their Lord shiver from it when they get the hadith. Then their skins and their hearts soften up to the remembrance of God. What we were talking about how, like, the Quran earlier is supposed to be a remembrance. It calls you to remembrance, and that the hadith, that the meaning of the Quran is in your heart. You know what I'm saying? It says here again, like we said, God is the one who teaches you the meaning thereof. But it says here that when you hear a book of God, that when you hear one of his hadith, that it has a couple of effects. One, it brings you to reverence and you shiver. Like if you fear God, it makes you shiver when you hear his hadith, his knots to be untied, his riddles, his books. but it also softens your hearts to remembering God. That's like it gives you two tests to figure out. This is how you know you're hearing the words of God. You know what I'm saying? I love that one right there.
Yeah, like it's giving you milestones.
Right. Moving on, Ezekiel 17, I broke down for the people. It has a long riddle that answers itself, right? But it breaks down the knot and then how to untie the knot, right? And it's an interesting one because this is an instance where it calls one of the prophets son of man, like Jesus or Isa alayhi salam. And this one's a dope one, like, because the last two ones are the concept of like the Antichrist of the Dajjal when you get into the breakdown of it and whatnot. But it basically says in one verse that he's going to basically be able to captivate the people with being able to speak an understanding of Hedah or Hadith. You know what I'm saying? And then the next verse says that after he kind of reigns after a while and does this thing, that the people will start cursing him and taunting him with the actual real Hadith. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Right. But so again, I want to just get into this real quick to see how you want to play with it, see anything that you see in common, right? So again, here we have Hedah in the Hebrew, meaning a puzzle, hence a trick, a conundrum, a sententious maxim. And again, we know maxims are like they're morals to stories. They're maxims of truth. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Dark saying, i.e. sentence speech, hard question, proverb, or riddle. So there's that. And then we got it meaning in the Arabic, hadith means this. It means narrations, sayings, words, speech, opinions, statement, utterance, discourse, account, and tale.
Is there a way you can give me the root letters on that?
You know what? Let's do that.
I have my little root letter dictionary, Quran dictionary program. I can log those in and see what we come up with. By the way, if anyone uses Google Hangouts, it's called Project Root List.
Here we go. So the trilateral root is ha, dal, and ta, or tha. You see it?
Ha, dal, and tha. Got it. All right. That's the small ha. Okay.
Compare this to the Hebrew and see what that looks like. And we got the Arabic breakdown right over here.
Ha, da, and tha.
Yeah, T-H-A. Ha, dal, and tha.
Okay, here we go. All right, we have something new. Just a sec. Awesome, she's asleep.
And so just to be clear, while he's looking that up, it says here that the trilateral root occurs 36 times in the Quran, where I show you here where the word hadith itself shows up 26 times. And the difference is because that word there is being shown as the noun form. The noun form shows up 26 times. While there's a passive participle that shows up twice, there's a verb form that shows up a couple different times, etc. So that adds up to a different enumeration, etc.
Islam. All right.
Oh, you cut out. What was that?
All right. So we have the meaning for the root, ha, dal, and tha. We have something new or recent. A thing came into existence, began to be, originated, had a beginning, existed newly for the first time, or to relate discourse, a story, report, narration, a statement, a tale, a novelty or new thing, and innovation, a thing not known before, and particularly relating to Islam, the matters of religious doctrines or practices or the like.
Interesting. I think the way they break down the concept of being a tale will be very similar to the concept of a sententious maxim or a proverb. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But yeah, man. Oh, that's what's up. Demonstrate, little Muslim.
Yeah, she's just not going to sleep finally. She's just kind of putting up a little slight little fight, but all should be well. But we'll see.
Hey, Islam brother Sheikh Yakim Bey. Hey, if whenever you got time to jump on, fam, go ahead and jump on. Go do your thing. Hey, and Lex, if you still on there, you want to jump on, feel free to jump on, man. Again, just keep it respectful, keep it cool.
Yeah, bros, it's already in there, man. It's all in the Quran, so you know, the Quran is already saying it. You know, Brother Taiwan just pointed out, and we're just making connections, making relations. That's what it's all about, really. I don't know what verse or surah it is in the Quran where it states that if Satan created the Quran, it would have many inconsistencies in it. So the consistency was the main driving factor in that really intrigued me with Islam. I couldn't not find it somewhere, you know. I found whatever was being spoken in the book, I would find it somewhere, either as the Quran even states, outside myself, or I would find it inside myself. So for most atheists, I discovered from that reflection is that most try to demand proof from just outside themselves. I feel most atheists are actually very advanced, where you can just give them straight, AKA like Sufi-ish, kind of mystic approach to Islam. Just go straight spirit, But that's just my the demonstration, Islam.
So I'm putting up one of the verses where it talks about there's no contradictions in the Quran, or it says Surah 4 ayah 82. Then do they not reflect upon the Quran? If it had been from other than Allah, they would have found within it much contradiction.
That's the one.
I'm looking for the one that breaks down the fact that it is a blessing for the people of the previous scripture to confirm the Torah and the Quran. I should know that one off the top of my head. That's sad that I don't. So yeah, man, I'm thinking about starting to do a series about words that are similar in Hebrew and Arabic, just so people can see where they go together and whatnot.
Okay.
Because I'm beginning to understand, like, a lot of people don't recognize like how similar the traditions actually, like how much of sister languages they actually are. You know what I'm saying? Because I try to tell people, you know what I'm saying, that basically like it's like Spanish and Italian, you know what I'm saying? Like they're family. They're not, it's like all Latin language kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? Like Semitic languages and Afro-Asiatic languages. It's all the same language family, you know what I'm saying? But Jaman.
Yeah, it's all related, man. It's all one big family.
Where is this verse? Bear with me, family. I'm trying to find a verse real quick. Definitely trying to find this verse. But one thing I definitely want to make clear is and, you know, I should share my screen for this because you can see every time it says this. It basically says a bunch of times that the Quran confirms the Torah. But not only that, I'm trying to find one that says that there's a double blessing for following both. So I'm going to just run through this real quick. Yeah, I love. I got to do a show on this one all by itself, to where the Torah and the Quran don't conflict. Where is it? I feel like it's in the fives. I swear like it's in the fives. Yeah. Again, indeed, we sent down the Torah, in which was guidance and light. The prophets who submitted. I think it's over here. Nope. I really should know this verse off the top of my head. I love that one. Say, O people of the scripture, you are standing on nothing until you uphold the law of the Torah and the gospel. I love that one.
That's pretty solid there.
Mm-hmm. And if only they upheld the law of the Torah and the gospel and what has been revealed to them from their Lord, they would have consumed from above them and from beneath their feet. Among them are a moderate community, but many of them evil is that which they do. Where my verse at, man? And we sent following in their footsteps Jesus, the son of Mary, confirming that which came before him in the Torah, and we gave him the gospel, in which was guidance and light, and confirming that which preceded it of the Torah as guidance and instruction for the righteous. Ain't like that one either. So here, no, that was the food being lawful. Muslims eating Jewish food is cool. Kosher halal is cool. I love this one. O people of the scripture, why do you argue about Abraham while the Torah and the gospel were not revealed until after him? Then will you not reason? Stop beefing. Like my man Rospect said. Hold on, he said, why is man hungry for beef when he's meant to be fasting for Ramadan? I love that one. Shout out to the man Rospect. Anybody listening, go check out Rospect Official, man, and go check out his channel. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the dude right there. He's out and about doing his thing. He's the most righteous roster you're gonna find, man. And real talk, the roster's on hold. I ain't ran into an unrighteous roster yet. Not that there's not unrighteous cats out there, but like real talk, 9 times out of 10 when you meet a roster cat, he's cool. And Rospect is definitely on that vibe. I lost my verse. Where is it? Oh, well. I'll find it later, man. No questions in the chat. Only one person watching. So check this out, man. We can wrap this up if you got nothing you want to build on. If you want to build?
Islam, beautifully put. I was actually just more interested for some questions or something, but if nothing,
Yeah, there's nobody watching now. I mean, it's late over on the East Coast, and like it's definitely like people are sleeping in the UK.
alrighty.
But so this is my brother Bernard Easterling Bay. You should check him out on Ask a Moor. He has a channel on YouTube. Go check him out for real, for real. Um, like I said, like he likes to get into the root words on stuff. He also gets into some Sufi concepts. He gets into a whole bunch of interesting stuff. You know what I'm saying? Go check him out. We have a group on Facebook called Orthodox Moorish Dawah. I have a Israelite and Moorish group called Moorish of Canaan on Facebook. Yeah, and look out for some upcoming debates with me and some brothers in the Solar Mind or Solar Vision Debate League. And with that, family, I say peace and love.
Peace and love, family. Happy Holy Day.
Happy Holy Day.
Peace.